Okay, Genesis 33, verse 12. That's where we're at. Let's see here. So then Esau said, let us take our journey and let us go, and I will go before you. And Jacob said to him, my Lord knows the children are weak, and the flocks and herds are nursing, which are nursing are with me. And if the men should drive them hard one day, all the flock would die. Please let my Lord go on ahead before his servant, and I will lead on slowly at a pace which the livestock that go before me and the children are able to endure until I come to my Lord in Seir. So that's like the capital of Edom. They're going down to Seir. And Esau said, now let me leave you with some of the people who are with me. But he said, oh, what is the need? Let me find favor in the sight of my Lord. So Esau returned that day on his way to Seir, to the south. And Jacob journeyed to Succoth, built himself a house, and made booths for his livestock. Therefore, the name of the place is called Succoth. So, there's like 3 verses left. We'll get those. But what's fascinating is that Esau goes to Seir, which is in the south. Jacob says, I'll be right behind you. And then Jacob goes to the north, outside of the promised land. Really? I'd look that up now. I can't remember where Succoth is on a map. I've got maps here. Where's a map? Did I have Succoth on here? I see Damascus. Might not be in one of these maps that I have. There's Akko, Tyre, Kadesh, Hatzor. Regardless, don't think I'm going to find it on a map. It's mainly the fact that Jacob just went the other direction. So it's like he's back to his old tricks. Even after Esau welcomes him in and everything's fine, you'll notice Jacob kind of shies away all of Esau's help. And I'll be right behind you. And then boom, he beats feet to another direction. And then he builds a house, which is unique because Abraham never built a house. Isaac never built a house. Jacob built a house. Seems like he was settling down. And that word Succoth, it's the word for a booths for his livestock. And that's where we have the Feast of Tabernacles or the Feast of Booths. They call it Succoth. It's the Hebrew name for the feast. So there's a vocab word you can keep in the back of your mind. Now, these last 3 verses, just so we don't miss them, Jacob came safely to the city of Shechem. So after, and it seems like he was probably there for 8 to 10 years in that area of Succoth. And then he goes to Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan, when he came from Padan Aram, and he pitched his tent before the city. And he bought a parcel of land where he had pitched his tent, and from the children of Hamor, Shechem's father, for 100 pieces of money. Then he erected an altar there and called it El Elohe Israel, which means God, the God of Israel. Where's my note on that? He digs a well here and also on Mount Gerizim. So yeah, we know about the well on Mount Gerizim because we know there's a well where John, or in the Gospel of John chapter 4, the woman at the well, there's another well of Jacob there on Gerizim, which is just there next to Shechem. Gerizim is right there by Shechem. So it's this whole area where he's digging his well. And so this is where he's at. I guess he's at Mount Gerizim. He's digging his well. This is the scene. He's in the area where the story of the woman of the well is taking place. I want to just make some notes, maybe keeping it shorter today, that as we've progressed, we're working our way back from chapter 32, where he wrestles with God, to chapter 35, verse 10. But Israel shall be your name. What we find is Jacob doing a lot of things that aren't very Israel-like. it's behaviors that aren't what we ought to see out of a spirit-filled Christian. Now, he wasn't a Christian, right? He was a spirit-filled believer. These are for our learning. We're going to learn from him and his life and what he did. And here's the thing, foreshadowing for you. He's swindling his brother kind of again. I mean, he's not trying to trick him out of anything, but he's being deceptive. He tells him, hey, I'm following right behind you. I'll be right there. And then he turns the other direction. And then when he decides to settle down, first he settles down outside of the promised land, outside of where God wants him to be dwelling. And he's going to move in. Finally, he starts making his way back 10 years later. And he goes to finally settle somewhere inside of Canaan. You'll notice that it says that Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan, which as opposed to previously he was dwelling outside of the land of Canaan. Well, now he goes to dwell in the land of Canaan, and he puts up this altar. Oh, God, the God of Israel. So there's the word Israel. Like he knows who he's supposed to be. But my Bible has chapter 24 titled The Dinah Incident. And what we're going to find is his daughter and his sons are going to get mixed up in some bad business. And he's going to be all sorts of upset and lamenting over what his kids are doing. But what should he be expected? We may be Christians, and we may have at a time wrestled with God and had experiences that were life-changing. And yet, if our children witness us dealing treacherously, dealing deceptively, choosing to live outside of what we know God has clearly told us, this is the way I want you to live, and they watch us live outside of that, even when we choose, okay, now I'm going to go back into Canaan. I'm going to put up an altar. I'm going to start fixing things again. And then our kids don't follow suit. Well, for the last decade, you've been living outside of God's will. And now that you're trying to get your life back together again, it shouldn't shock us that the kids aren't going to follow suit right away necessarily. Now, we're going to find God work through all of this. We're going to watch God's will be accomplished. We're going to see good come out of these things. There's going to be a curse, but with the curse is going to come a blessing. And there's all this interesting stuff that'll unfold. But once again, God is not mocked. Whatever a man sows, that he shall reap. We can't call ourselves Israel or call ourselves a Christian and then live like the heathen and expect our family to follow suit. I can't teach my kids one thing and then display for them another. And it takes time to fix these things. If I've been kind of like on the fence, like, yeah, I love church and I love worship and everyone knows, they know that I love God, and yet I'm still partaking, being a part of all these things that, well, deep down I know, yeah, Christians probably shouldn't be doing that. And then we wonder why our kids are confused. And so it's that consistency that's needed in the family. It's that consistency of where our words and our actions line up. Now, I've got good news and bad news. The good news is these problems can be fixed. The bad news is when you one day decide, yep, I'm fat. Like, I've realized, okay, somewhere between here and here, I've let myself go. But now I'm committed to getting back in shape. Well, guys, you can do it. You can get back in shape. Doesn't matter how old you are or how young or whatever. But as you should know, that's a commitment to a lifestyle of consistent choices day to day that will result in long term health changes. But it is not a commitment to overnight change. It's a commitment to a way of life, if lived consistently, will yield the results you desire to have. See changes that need to be made in your family? Well, make a commitment. I'm going to be at church every Sunday. In fact, I'm not just going Sunday mornings. I'm going to go to the night service, the midweek service, whatever it is your church has, right? Like, no, they don't need to see me just show up and check the box once a week. I'm going to show up to 2 or 3 things. I'm going to make it to a women's study or a men's study. I'm going to make it to this or that. And my kids are going to watch me. And my family's, my husband, my wife, they're going to see that I'm going to make a consistent change in my life. And I need to go all in. I need to be in the Word, in prayer, and watching Joe's live stream every day. That last part was a joke, but maybe. But you can see what I'm saying there. But like, it can't just be I need to go to church every week. It's I need Jesus every day, and I need to be consistent. I need to get back into this and make a commitment to consistency. And over time, it will yield the results you're looking for. But like anything, whether it's an injured shoulder that you need to do rehab workouts for, it's a health condition which is reversible by dietary changes, or it's a household falling apart because I wasn't consistent being the Christian mother or father, husband or wife that I was supposed to be, a marriage falling apart, right? Well, I can make a change. I can make it now. I can remain consistent in that. And in time, I believe God will bring about the results I pray to see. So, Jacob isn't quite there yet, but we're going to watch through the rest of this book until the day he dies, because Jacob's with us all the way to the end of Genesis. We will see him more often being Israel the longer we bear with him. It's like Jacob's always there, but Israel will become a more prominent character, and Jacob will be less and less as he grows in strength and in his faith and consistency in leaning on the Lord. So, there you guys have it. Whoever may watch, I pray you have a church where you have brothers and sisters who can support you, love you, pray for you, encourage you, help you see the real you. You need that. All right. God bless you guys. I've got work to do. See you around.